came in heat, and the eagle was the thing that they gave me. It's the crack gorilla that's still crack.
What is up, battle babes, battle boos? It's Sergeant Bodie back again, finally. I know it's been a while. Things actually got hectic, and I think I'm starting to see why people did not vlog when they were in this program while they were here, because there are so many things about it that makes it just hard to keep up with something like this. And this takes a lot of time and energy, and then you really want to dedicate the right amount of time and energy to your relaxation as well as your studies, and do what you came here for. Make it out of here on top. Okay, you don't want to screw yourself over. But I have been answering a lot of questions from you guys. A lot of people have been finding me on Facebook, which is I love. It makes me feel like I'm actually doing something that's helping. So I actually did want to go over a few of the questions that came up from prior service people who are like me, people who would be prior service soldiers coming here to this particular program, and also people who are considering going into the Army or possibly the Air Force in order to hop into this career. And that would make them an IET, or initial entry trainee. So that is a totally different experience, one that I've already gone through, but for my original job, which was 88 Mike, that is a truck driver in the Army. And yeah, I think that all of you who are considering possibly joining the military for a certain type of career, I think that if you know that you can deal with hardship, if you know that you can deal with certain things not making sense to you at the surface level, if you can deal with silly things day in and day out, if you can manage your frustration, I think that you should do it. I think that you should join. I think that you should, you know, make that change in your life if you feel like you can handle what they want from you in order to cross over. It's a great career to get into. Just remember that it's extremely accelerated. Okay, this is a 2-year program condensed down into one. Yes, a 2-year program condensed down into a 1-year program, and things move extremely quick. It's just a lot to deal with, but you know what you can handle, and it's worth it. In the end, it'll be worth it for you. And what's wrong with learning a little bit of discipline as a young adult, or even as a not so young adult? Because, if you're able bodied, you can join. You know what I mean? Like, you could still change your career. The difference here would be like, you would be paid to get the training as long as you're accepted, as long as the ASVAB score is where you need it to be. Primarily for a job like this, they're focusing on the ST and the GT score as well. Yeah. So you want to focus on that. You want to focus on, making those scores high. I do. That was one of the questions that I got. People asked me how I made the score that I needed to make in order to be able to qualify for this MOS. And I had taken my ASVAB a second time after I had already been in the Army for about 3 to 4 years. And I prepared myself. I did well on the first time that I took it, but I did even better, of course. I achieved the goal that I was looking to achieve by studying and practicing, and not in the way that you think. It was actually an ASVAB app that I've downloaded, and it's essentially a game, and you can play the game anywhere at any time because it's on your phone. It's an app, and also if you got answers wrong, it would explain to you why you got the answers wrong. And I think that helps a person learn, especially an adult, of course. But yeah, I think that that's a good idea if you want to make sure your ASVAB is at a certain level so that you have so many jobs available to you. Like, the higher the ASVAB, these are all the jobs that are available to you. Lower the ASVAB, you see, it's like inverse square law, you know what I mean? Anyway, jumping right in, there's a lot to get into. We are literally in March, and this is the last month, the very last month of phase one. Clap, clap, clap for me. I'm here. I made it. No, it wasn't easy. I'm not going to lie to you. It was like so much. It was just so much to have to manage and deal with. It's like, I love the work. I love what I'm learning, but sometimes the day in and day out, it gets grueling, and that's the military part. And then the fact that the program is accelerated, it like your head is spinning constantly. I don't want to lie to anybody about this. And it's like, if you have ever taken an accelerated college course, it's like, it's even more intense than that. than an accelerated college course. And I just want everybody to be prepared for that, because it's better to know what you're getting into coming in, so you're not surprised. You want to avoid failing tests. You want to avoid double tapping. That's failing a test initially, getting a reteach, taking the test again, and failing again, because that's the quickest way to get yourself recycled. And that means you're removed from the current class that you're in and you're put in a class that's behind you. And it's like, I am sure you all want to get out and stay on, the track of getting out that you had planned for yourself. You don't want any setbacks. So the best way to handle that is to figure out what kind of learner or studier you are and cater to that. And also keep in mind, rest and relaxation is just as important, okay? Make friends, hang out with people, do it safely, don't get yourself into any trouble. Because just like any major city anywhere, there's always things that could get you hemmed up and tied up. Remain a law-abiding citizen. That's all I can say to you. So going into the planner, because I am older now, I needed to write things down and put them on the calendar so that I could visually see it, because otherwise these things would be forgotten, lost into the cosmos. No, but because things would move so rapidly and there would be a lot going on in one week, it was just best for me to have one of these. And I feel very adult and very accomplished having this. So yeah, maybe you should get yourself one of these as well. Have a planner, or whether you do it like this in a book or you do it digitally, whatever works for you. Just make sure you stay. Or if you have one of the boards, I had a roommate that actually had like a whiteboard that was fixed into a calendar that she would use to keep track of the things that she needed to do and things that were to come. So yeah, I put birthdays on here. I put tests on here. I put when we were starting new subjects. I put when we were going into labs. That was the month of February, by the way. That was my birthday. I turned 38 this past February. Woohoo! Oh my God, that was so weird. Yeah, I turned 38. I'm actually happy and grateful to get older, because there's a lot of people that I knew that lost their lives that were a lot younger than me. So I'm grateful to be here, grateful to be doing what I want to do. And yeah, moving right along, we are into February, and we already did bio exams. We did what would you call this? So it was bio L 110. And right after that, we went into skull. Skull was interesting. It was intense. It was a lot of little details to remember. Then immediately after that, we had spine. Now, they dedicated a lot of time to the spine portion of our instruction. And a lot of us always felt like all that block of time should have been dedicated to skull, because it was a little bit more in depth or complicated. And it just required more attention to detail. And for some reason, but to stay within, like, so they could continue to have like their accreditation, they have to meet certain standards, and it's required that they dedicate a certain amount of time to spine compared to skull. But it seemed backwards. But anyway, we've moved on from both, and we are now in GIGU, and that's the upper GI systems. And that's where we're talking about contrast. And we're actually doing live exposures in the live lab on dummies or mannequins that have some internal organs. Some of them have internal organs, and most of them do have a skeleton. They have bones. And I'm not sure about them actually being real skeletons. I just believe that there's some radiopaque material that's inside that's in the shape of a skeleton. These heavy ass, stinky ass mannequins, okay? They heavy and stinky. And I don't know if I mentioned before, when we take our exam, when we do our exam for the positioning, you have more than likely you'll have 3 views that you're doing for the body part, right? And you have a live person. You do it with a partner, and y'all switch off as the tech and patient. But essentially, you'll have 7 minutes for the first view, and then you'll have for the other 2 or 1, whatever it is, you'll have 5 minutes, right? So the time is like shorter. So the rule of thumb, or the best thing to do, is whichever position you find more difficult to get your patient into, and whichever one is more difficult for you to basically address all details to make sure you've put them in the proper position, you probably should do that one first, because you'll have the most time to do it, right? And then the other ones that you feel more comfortable with, or not as uncomfortable as the first one, you'll have the 5 minutes. And to be honest, I've always been able to position my patient and to the point where I can stand there and really think about what I've done and look at what I did and how I positioned the person. Fast forward to now, there is no live person. You are on your own and you're moving a stinky heavy dummy.
Brother, what's that?
And some of them are missing their limbs, which could be a good thing. And sometimes it could be not such a good thing because you need to keep the mannequin in a certain position and they're heavy. These stinky ass mannequins got a nerve to be the frick heavy. Okay? They don't help you. No. But there's a mimosa break because it's Sunday. Anyway, the mannequins are heavy. There are times when you're trying to position them and they work against you. Like they're just heavy, they slide. You got pillows and cushions that also slide. So you have to, so this whole time in the lab since last week, we have been, practicing with it like you normally do. You get your time to, you get your demo and you get your time to manipulate and practice on your own. There are 1,001 freaking views in this GIGU section. I am done with feeling overwhelmed. I refuse to feel it. I just won't. I refuse because it comes a time where you just get tired of feeling like you don't have enough time for anything because no one cares. That's just the bottom line. They don't care. I feel like sometimes the instructors do try to go to bat for us when it comes down to it, but there's always the higher ups that decide that things are going to stay exactly the way that they are and exactly the way that they've always been. So the idea is now you have to continue to figure out what you can do to survive and not fail. Because in my mind, I'm thinking that, well, they were able to put plenty of people through these stressful conditions in, little to no time to actually learn something like this. And they feel that they're happy with the numbers of people that survive or pass and move on. So don't be the one who fails. That's all I can say. And if you do end up failing a positioning, like if you get too low of a score to pass, it's the same process as the written exam. You get a reteach and then you retest. Some are easier to fail than others because there would be only 3 to 4 sections and thus easier for you to tank. But the saving grace is that when you have many views to do, you have a higher chance of passing because there's just more for you to, be successful with. So always keep that in mind. If you ever feel overwhelmed, find the silver lining and embrace the suck, as I've mentioned before. But yes, back to the planner. It's been very beneficial to me. I can look in here and see what's coming up and look where I've come from. And also, as I said, this is the last month of phase 1. And now I'm preparing to go to phase 2. And I have actually found out where I'm going for phase 2. And drum roll, please. No, just kidding. I will be staying right here in San Antonio. I'll be going to BAMC. I'm staying here and I'll be going to BAMC for my phase 2 site. Yay! And I'm actually really excited about that because that's exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to stay here and go to a trauma center basically because that means I will get to learn, see, and do a lot. I will more than likely get a lot of hands-on training and experience with certain kinds of traumas or I guess certain types of patients because of the type of facility or hospital that Brooke Army Med is. And I was really hoping for that since the beginning. And I'm happy to actually be going there. I have no words. I wrote it in my calendar. I'm like, yay, BAMC. All of the Army, all the soldiers, we all found out where we were going for our phase 2 sites the same day. We literally lined up in alphabetical order and they told us where we were going after we verified our name. And boom, just like that. Assembly line style. And I'll be going there with another prior service who's also here with her husband. So I'm looking forward to that. And one of the other initial entry trainees as well. We'll all be going to BAMC starting at the same time. And I'm looking forward to it. I don't know what to expect. I know that it's not going to be as strict as it is here as far as like hard times or formations and doing PT 4 days a week and jumping up and doing this and the third. Our focus now in phase 2 is learning our job hands on with real people and shadowing. Obviously, there's going to be a week where we're in processing. I have a battle buddy or a homie, a prior service homie who literally has gone to BAMC and she literally went this week. And she said the rooms are a little bit nicer. She did have to do a lot of cleaning because of the state that the person that was in there before her left it. But yeah, it's not. This building that I live in, I don't know if I've mentioned it before, is absolutely awful. The elevator is always, the two elevators, they're always going out. The fire alarms are always going off. The fire alarm went off earlier this morning, by the way. And for about 2 months, we did not have hot water. And it would come and go. And then there was a point where there would be no hot water whatsoever. And it was a horrible experience staying in the prior service barracks that's over on the side of Old Band C, run by, I guess it's 188th Med, what have you. Yeah, it, these are horrible conditions. As of right now, we have hot water, but as I've said in the past, it would come and go. And when I first got here, I was living up on the fifth floor, and we did not have these issues with the water and the HVAC system. Water pressure is extremely low. This is the second room that I've moved into since I've been on the third floor, because we were supposed to move out of this building completely, but it didn't happen because of issues with space and rooms being inhabitable. Like, there's a issue with mold. I think that's just a thing in Texas. Apparently, it's what I've been learning. And some places, it was a place that they were not able to put us in because there's already people in the space that we were supposed to go in, but because there's mold, that greatly limits the number of spaces or rooms that they have for people that they can actually put them in. So I'm not going to say that there's no mold in this building. I've seen it myself. I guess where we're supposed to go, it was atrocious or uninhabitable, as I've said. But anyway, moving along, I have literally moved out of the room that I was in, which was directly next door to this room that I'm in now. Yeah. And I thought they were moving me out of that building because of HVAC issues. Not at all. You know how I know it wasn't because of that? Because they literally moved someone in that same day.
That shit dumb.
They moved in a male soldier. Yeah. Anywho, yeah, so as I said, my birthday was in February. I had a really good time. My boyfriend came down. He was here for my birthday was on a Wednesday, and he came on Wednesday, and he took me to a really nice dinner here in San Antonio at a restaurant called Blue Prime. It's a steakhouse. My God, it was such a wonderful experience. The atmosphere was great. The service was amazing, and they actually had a lounge singer, and her voice was she picked she picked the perfect songs. Like, she was like with the times. She sang some things that were from the past, but her voice was amazing. It was a wonderful experience. It was great. And then we went to Coyote Ugly after, and we had a really good time. And then fast forward to the weekend, I did a brunch on Saturday afternoon with my friends at this place called Box All Day at the Hemisphere. And that was another great experience. The food was wonderful. The service was also like top tier. The server had a really great attitude. The party was huge. So we kept her on her toes, and it seemed like she was having a good time. And so shout out to all my battle buddies that came to my birthday brunch. Love you guys. I really appreciate it. And Kenny enjoyed meeting me. So anyway, back to GIGU, which is the subject that we're on right now. We're hitting the home stretch. We're going to start the positioning testing, sure, pretty soon. I don't have that written here for some reason, but I do have when we take the written exam, which will be Monday the 17th. But before all of that, on the 14th, Friday the 14th, we're going to do class photos. I said that I was going to talk about some of the things or questions that came up from people who reached out to me. And one of the things that I was asked was about, for a prior service, if you have a vehicle and you are doing either a PCS or it's a TDY or however the status is, whatever status you're on, you absolutely, absolutely want to bring your car, either ship it or drive it down. Whatever you do, have your vehicle, because you will be SOL. You will be struggling and scraping to find someone to give you a ride. Now, it may work for the first week that you're here, but you never know what might happen. And then, as you're coming in, there are people like leaving or gearing up to leave. So you don't, a saying from my family members, God bless the child who has his own. And that way you can be completely self-reliant in that aspect. At least you know that whenever you need to be somewhere or go somewhere, you can rely on yourself. And obviously maintain your vehicle. That's important so that you can get around. But make no mistake, there are people who will be willing to help you out. It's just difficult to depend on that or rely on that for the duration of your time here. Like, it wouldn't really make sense. But yeah, definitely bring your own vehicle, because we are so far away from the different points that we have to go to. It's not worth it to walk. There is a sergeant here that even rides their bike, but sometimes that's not that great for the type of weather that you might wake up to early in the morning or what have you. So yeah, if you have a vehicle, I would suggest bringing it. It makes sense. It's best for you. What else? Before I jump into anything else, I just want to talk about the month of March and what's going on. So I did mention that we're doing pictures, okay? After GIGU, then we go into RAD 201. There's a written exam after we, learn that topic or that subject. And then immediately after that, which is the last week of our instruction, is what they call comp week. And in comp week, what we do is every lab positioning exercise or exam that we've ever done, so every body part that we've started from head to toe, you go back and you could get tested on any of those things. You have to do certain views in that category. And I can go into detail about what is expected in comp week. I can do another video to go into more detail. But that will be your last week. Also during the last week, well, the week before the last week, you are going to take a mock ARRT exam. And they say hardly anyone ever passes it, but I would suggest maybe looking up, maybe use I can't even talk. Maybe use Chat GPT, right, to make yourself a mock ARRT exam so you can see what to expect, because it can only help. It can't harm you for you to know what's coming ahead. And I suggest doing that. I've done that. I've looked over the questions, and I have to say, I see why no one passes when they take the mock exam, because some things we may have covered, but it was so long ago, and other things we didn't cover at all. Some things there was no emphasis on whatsoever, but you're going to be asked because you are considered a medical professional who is going for a licensing or a certification. And I think that it's important that you understand and know what all is expected of you. Yeah, that's the bottom line for me. Like, just, make yourself a mock exam. Also, there are programs that you can use to study, obviously, for the ARRT. When we leave here, we get access to a study program for free. They do give that to you, but I think that the reason why they do the mock exam before you leave is to just try to see where you're at and to help you out so that you know what to focus on individually for the ARRT. And then after that, the phase one commencement will be the very last day of the month. Immediately after that, though, Army goes to the field for 3 days, called an FTX, so that you learn how to conduct and do your job in the field and use those portable machines. That's the video. Like I said, the next video that I put out will go into the specifics and details about comp week and what to expect. And yeah, I guess some tips and tricks that I got from the senior class that was ahead of me before they left. Also, there's a little thing that I'll talk about that has to do with like this last month, pertaining to the senior class and the class below. So yeah, moving right along. Um, yeah, keep hitting me up, guys. I love the questions. And earlier I said Facebook and I meant Instagram. You guys have been finding me and hitting me up on Instagram, and that's perfect. Sometimes there's a bit of a delay because the messages I don't see right away sometimes. I don't know why that's happening. But please keep sending your messages. I enjoy answering them to the best of my knowledge. And like I said, if there's anything that I'm not sure of, or if I don't know, I will find that answer. We're in a team, we're in this together. Cool. But yeah, I'll make another video talking about comp week. Like I said, yeah, we're hitting the home stretch now, and we're preparing for the next steps and the new things. And yeah, please like and subscribe if you see fit. If you feel that what I'm doing is helpful, or if you like what I'm doing, please like. Find me, follow me on Instagram. Yeah, have a bomb ass week. You're a rock star. Show up, show out. Peace.